Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Shaylin Adongi if you're new, and if you're not, welcome back. So some of you guys might not be happy with this title of today's video, and that's okay, but we're still going to talk about it. So for today's session, we are going to talk about how women don't like how men treat them and how it's their fault. And that is not to give men a pass, but we are going to break down what I mean by that. God has literally blessed us with the ability to get all the desires that we want out of life. But women in this time and era aren't acting like they know that. And maybe they don't, because the main thing stopping women from giving themselves everything that they want, all of the desires that they wish, is women, ironically. As women, being alive in this time and era in history, women's standards for their relationships and how they are treated has lowered drastically. And some people could go and say, oh, it's because men objectify women. It's because men treat women like trash and all the good ones are gone. And I was supposed to be a 1990s baby because that's where the romance was. They acted nicer and they treated women better. But the reality is, it's not really the men's fault. It's actually the women's fault. I know I'm probably going to get hate for saying that, but nowadays, women have lowered their standards, lowered their self worth so much that they have become easy. They don't actually make the men work for them. They give themselves to men or they expose all of their goodies for free to where men don't even have to work hard anymore to get the women. They just do the bare minimum or below the bare minimum because they can, because some women make themselves easy access. And that's not nothing new. Women have been acting like that for ages. It's just more normalized and praised now. But with that comes the butterfly effect. With women being so easygoing, very accessible, and not treating their body or their energy as something that requires VIP access, comes men getting lazy because they don't have to work as hard as they should have to get women. They just got it on a silver platter, which makes the women that do have VIP access only invites have to lower their standards for men because men have gone lazy. And with lower standards comes lowered expectations for how men should treat a woman. And with that comes both the men and women who want to actually have a good relationship actually have a horrible relationship because they didn't have to work for you. And it makes the women in the relationships unhappy because their man's not doing anything. He's not trying anymore in the relationship. Why? Because the women and the trends in the society that aren't actually good for relationships and long-term relationships make it so he doesn't have to. And the men that actually want the women that require VIP invites to actually get them, they have to lower their standards too because the women became easy. The women that were forced to lower their standards and expectations for their relationship no longer meet their needs. And God made women so men didn't have to be alone, and everyone just wants someone to be happy to spend their life with. Therefore, all our expectations are lowered, the butterfly effect, and it's the woman's fault. And that is just the unfortunate, sad reality that we live in. And the only people that can actually do something to fix this society and situation are the women. Because we are the key to everything. God made us the key. He made us the things that men desire, that men want. If you read the Bible, men killed over women. I mean, they still do today. Men work hard to be able to provide so they can get a wife and get a family. Because once you get a woman, she multiplies you a family. So for the women that complain about the fact that their relationship isn't going the way they want, they're not getting the desires that they want out of their relationship or out of themselves, it's your fault. Because as women, you are the key to receiving the desires that you want out of life. And nowadays, women are settling for men who don't treat them how they want to, who just do the bare minimum and don't go all out for them like how they want. And men are settling for the women who's lowered their expectations and who has a double-digit body count before the age of 20. So they don't really get what they want either. So in order to stop the cycle and get all the desires of your heart that you want in a relationship and in life, but we're going to talk about relationships really quick for a second, you need to detach yourself from wanting a man so bad and focus on honoring your self-worth first, setting your boundaries and sticking with them, because it's one thing to set your boundaries, it's another thing to actually enforce them. And before you give your time, your energy, and your body to him, you need to make him work for it. He needs to prove himself to you. And once you do that, you get your desires. The way to get the desires that you want is you need to shrink your circle. I'm not talking about your friendships. I'm talking about your standards and your expectations. You need to shrink that. All right, so say, you and I are out to lunch, we're just hanging out, and I'm venting to you about this guy I'm dating, and I'm just venting to you, and I'm like, I just need a man that's actually good at communication. You were going to tell me that I need to shrink my circle. Instead of complaining about saying, I just wish I had a man that was good at communication, you were going to tell me to make a list on what I expect out of my relationship. And instead of complaining, saying I wish or I need, I'm going to write down my expectation for dating. I will only date men that are good with communicating. Just like that, I shrunk my circle. I just need a man that can grow with me and accept me for all parts of me as I work on becoming the best version of myself and as I evolve as a woman. On my list of expectations, I'm going to write down I will only date a man that has a growth mindset. Because I know that not only will he accept me and my growth mindset, but he's also going to have a growth mindset himself. And while I'm growing and evolving in my mindset, I won't have to be stuck with a 40-year-old man acting like he's 20. Just like that, I shrunk my circle even more. Oh, I know this one is a common one. I just really wish I had a man that paid for everything and that didn't make me go 50-50 on every single thing. Stop your complaining and put on your dating expectations list, I will only allow a man with a provider mindset to take me out. I get it, everything's expensive now, and it's one thing to not be able to afford it, but it's a completely other thing if he can afford it and he still wants you to go 50-50. If that works for you, kudos to you, to each their own. But to me, that sounds like he doesn't want to take care of me. And why would I give my time, my energy, and my body to someone who doesn't want to take care of me? That doesn't make sense to me, so I'm not going to do it. Therefore, my circle has shrunk a lot. And if men are like, this is the 21st century, you should be able to pay for your own meal, and we can go 50-50 on everything, you can say, I'm sure there's women out there that won't mind that, which there are because women's standards have lowered drastically, and that's okay. There's someone out there for everyone. There is no last man on earth. There's a gazillion fish on the sea. You have no reason to lower your standards. And this is the part where you honor your self-worth and your values more than you want to find love and be with someone. I have my notes right here. That's why I'm looking down. So 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 14, the New King James Version, says, do not be unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship has righteousness and lawlessness? So this specific verse speaks on marrying someone that has different beliefs than you. That's because when you two get married and you have offspring, you'll be teaching your offspring two very different core beliefs. And it can just add static and tension to the relationship and the family, which is why it's just better to not be unequally yoked with your partner. So although that verse is about spirituality and dating unbelievers, I do believe that that verse could also correlate to your core beliefs and your core values. So obviously as human beings and individuals, we're going to grow as people. We're going to change over time. The one thing that should stay the same, though, and constant, is your core values and your beliefs. And what helps you get the desires of your relationship is to have someone that has the same core values as you and that has the same standards and expectations for your role in the relationship. Because the men need to have their own list of expectations too. If they're venting to their bros and they're saying, oh, I just want a woman that's going to cook for me, that's going to do the housely duties, he needs to put on his list, I will only date women that desire to be homemakers. Not only does that shrink his circle, but if you don't fit into his bubble and you know his core values and you know the standards and expectations that he has for the women's role in their relationship, it can save you a buttload of arguments. Or I don't know what guys talk about when they hang out. Or if they're just venting and they're thinking, oh, I just wish I had a girl that didn't go clubbing every single night, that actually stayed home and hung out. He needs to put on his list, I will only date women that don't go clubbing, that don't find the enjoyment in going out to the club every night. And if you're someone who does those things and that don't meet his expectations, well, you saved each other a buttload of arguments and you can go get someone else. And of course, the core Christian belief, if he's unequally yoked with you, it may not work. Just like that, you're one step closer to getting the desires that you want, and you didn't waste either of each other's time. You set the standard on how you want to be treated in a relationship and in life. If you're not treated the way that you want, especially when it comes to relationships, don't yell, don't beg, don't over-explain as to how you need to be treated, don't demand, you better treat me like this. Just simply walk away. I'm not saying break up or anything, because like arguments happen. I'm just saying remove yourself from their presence. So Proverbs 21 verses 9 says, better to dwell in the corner of a housetop than in a house shared with a contentious and quarrelsome wife. I looked up what contentious and quarrelsome meant, and I didn't look up the Hebrew definition, I just looked up the English definition. Contentious and quarrelsome means persistently nagging and constant arguments, which lead and create strife and frustration in the relationships. And when you read that, it sounds like the Bible's giving men a warning to just avoid that, which it is. but also it's for the women too. When you start being very argumentative and begging and over explaining and just constantly yelling, it messes with your energy and it messes with your life force. You don't believe me? Think about the last time you were in a heated argument. How did you feel? And I'm not talking about rage. Think of your energy. I guarantee you didn't feel refreshed. You didn't feel recharged. I guarantee your energy probably felt very uncomfortable and very at ease. Am I right? I feel like I am. The Bible speaks of homemakers and how wives or women make the house into a home. With that comes your energy. What type of energy are you bringing in when you act in a way that the Bible calls quarrelsome and contentious? And that's not to say you're at fault for that, because obviously men can be the start as to why you feel the need you need to do that and stand up for yourself and defend yourself or feel heard. This pastor said something, I feel like it went viral on TikTok a while ago. It was like, when you give women groceries, she makes a whole meal for you. She'll multiply it. You give her a house, she'll make it into a home. You're intimate with her, she'll multiply that and give you children. And then he goes on to say, if you start an argument with a woman, best believe she's going to multiply that, because we are natural multipliers. But if you can avoid it and you feel like you're conscious with yourself, when you're like, I need to start yelling, I need to over explain, I need to make sure he hears me on exactly how I feel, if you actually conscious of that, stop yourself in advance. You may not feel better in the split moment, but you'll feel better later and you'll be glad that you did that. If you feel the need to actually be in that moment because you don't like what he said or you don't like how he's treating you, simply remove yourself from his presence. The biggest and best thing that you can do for yourself is leave and disappear, because silence is powerful. So let's think about this from a logical perspective for a second. He likes you. He has a crush on you. He's in love with you. He wants to spend his life with you. He wants to spend his time with you, and he wants to be around you. What better punishment or payback, whatever you want to call it, to get him to understand that you don't like how he treated you in that moment than to just up and leave? To make it so he doesn't get to have you in his presence. So you may be like, no, he's going to hear what I have to say. I'm going to go off on him. But is he really, though? Is he really going to hear what you have to say when you're yelling at him? No one wants to listen to someone when they're yelling at you, when they're argumentative or quarrelsome. Some people might just roll their eyes and say whatever they can or cut you off to get you to leave. So the best thing that I can think of from a logical perspective is, if I don't like how I'm getting treated in that moment, I will up and leave. I will just get up and walk away. Granted, I don't know how that obviously the argument and the situation matters. I don't really know how that's going to do if you do that every single time. But when you walk away, I don't think of it as being petty. I think of it as, you walk away, you need to take a beat, and you sit and you think, how do I get him to hear that he hurt me? How do I get him to hear that I don't like how he's treating me? And then when the heat settled down, don't yell. Pay very close attention to your tone. Use your feminine energy and express to him how he made you feel. When you remove yourself, not only does it in a way represent a statement like, I don't like how you're treating me, so I'm going to go, but it's also an energy preserver. If that is what you need to do to stay in your feminine energy and not go all masculine on him, you do that. There is always a better feminine way to go about things. You just need to think about what works best for you. So to sum up this whole video, I know this had to do mostly with relationships, but I speak on this for your entire life. If you want to be able to receive your desires, the only way for you to get your desires is to not settle and to enforce your standards and your boundaries, to decide what specifically are your non-negotiables. There's this movie my mom and I went to the theaters to see one time, and it's called The Malcolm's List. And if you like the show Bridgerton, you'll like this movie because it's like kind of set in that era, which is so cute. But The Malcolm's List is literally about what we talked about. He made a list of expectations on how he wants his woman to be, and he shrunk his circle so that if a woman doesn't even check the box for one thing on his list, he throws out the whole thing. He's like, next, without even reconsidering them. I mean, granted, maybe not do all of that. I mean, obviously, if you have your red flags and your non-negotiables, you have them, but no one's perfect, and we're all flawed. But take your life and your relationship as seriously as he took his. And before I finish this session, I have some journal prompts. So I have like one or two journal prompts. And this just makes you more conscious about what you want in your life and in your relationship. It's better for you to write it down on paper so you can make your own list and expectations for your relationships. So my journal prompt for you is, what are your non-negotiables for romantic and platonic? Your second prompt, if you choose to do it, is how do you want your romantic partner to treat you when you're on dates, when you're in public, and when you're in private? How do you want to be perceived by them? When they think of you, when they look at you, what do you want them to see? Do you want them to see someone who's in their boss babe era, who can do it all on their own and who doesn't need them? Or do you want them to see you as someone who should be taken care of and spoiled, or whatever other ways you want them to see you? But actually think about that. That is all I have for today's session and today's video. Thank you ladies so much for watching if you actually stay till the end, and I will see you ladies next time. Bye loves.